Good morning, traders. All right, welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and let's go through the risk disclaimer. Trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so what we do in this webinar is introduce you to Bookmap. We define what it is, who uses it, how to connect it, how to get it, and then start to look at the live market and go over some of the order flow basics. While we do that, we need to start to define the elements on the Bookmap chart so you understand what you're looking at and how to read it. And it's just the basics here. So this is the basic education. We have an advanced order flow webinar for those that are subscribers. They've moved beyond the basics. And that starts at 11 o'clock Eastern time here, so in about another half hour. In that webinar, we go through very specific order flow phenomena. We're reading Bookmap, not really covering the elements in Bookmap, but just reading the order flow very, very objectively, and then looking for follow through. Based on our analysis, we're looking for future price movement. So hold on just a moment here. Okay. All right, so I just want to mention about the advanced order flow webinar because there's Bookmap education. It comes with your subscription. All right, so that's a big part of what you get. All right, so we don't leave you with software that you don't know how to use. There's all sorts of resources here, and that's a lot of what this webinar is about, is to introduce you to all those different resources so you start to understand, because what Bookmap is let's just define it now. We are a software trading platform, just like any other platform out there, but we have a very unique way of visualizing the market data. Okay, that's our strength, and that's what you get with Bookmap. It's very unique and something that others just don't offer. So this is kind of the wave of the way data visualization is going, and you'll see here. So just bear with me, and we'll get to that in just a minute. All right, so I've already defined what Bookmap is, trading platform, and let's continue on. Who uses Bookmap? Day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. Okay, we came from the quant environment, but and I'll demonstrate for you that this can be used on much, much higher time frames, okay? Not just high frequency or scalping environment. It's excellent for it, but for swing traders, day traders, even position traders on the higher time frames, they use Bookmap, and we have several customers that are doing that. All right, you can read more about getting an edge here, and then let's scroll down a little bit further, connectivity. This is important because we are software, okay? We're not a data provider, nor are we a broker, okay? So we connect to 3 different markets: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Now, the data for the digital currencies is free, but for US equities and futures, you will need to provide the data. This is quite typical, all right, from either your broker or a data provider. All right, so let's go over the different ways of connecting. For US equities, you will be connecting with DX feed. Okay, that's the method, and you will need to not only subscribe to Bookmap, but DX feed in order to get data for US equities. Okay, that's NASDAQ Total View and EdgeX. For futures, you have a variety of choices here: Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro for the Brazilian markets. Okay, now you can also see 3 different platforms listed here. You can connect via the API of these 3 different platforms. So you can go that route if you like, but you don't need to. In fact, it is encouraged and recommended to go and plug in directly with the data provider like CQG and Rhythmic. Okay, if you need a data feed, let's say you want to try out Bookmap, you're new to futures, you can click here and get up and running. Okay, so and let's go over getting up and running here. We're going to go through the different pricing here. so that you can begin to receive some data within Bookmap. Okay, you can subscribe yearly here, or you can click on the link here to subscribe monthly. Now, there's a couple different versions for digital and a couple different versions for global. The big distinction here is digital is only for digital currencies. Global is for all three markets. All right, now you can see the digital version over here. It is free, and it offers you connectivity to just one digital currency at a time. That's it. It's live though. The data is free, so you can be up and running in Bookmap immediately. If you want to look at some equities, you get a free delayed U.S. equities feed as well. Okay, now for futures, you can replay a file that comes with the download. But if you want live equities or futures data, then I would recommend subscribing to Bookmap Global for a month. Okay, for 49 bucks, try it out, connect your data, see what it looks like in the live market. That's the way to go. Okay, so that's the free version. The Digital Plus version, okay, what you get with this is the ability to trade from your Bookmap chart into a GDAX or BitMEX account. You can record and replay your data. You get up to 20 instruments per exchange, and you get the advanced education that comes with it, okay, and full support. Okay, the digital version does not offer that, the free version. Now, let's make the big jump over to the global version. This is where you can connect your futures and your US equities. Okay, it has everything else in Digital Plus with the addition of the connectivity, but you will need to provide the data for futures and US equities. And then the Global Plus version, okay, this includes all of our add-ons. Okay, one-click trading, the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart, an excellent one because you have the liquidity heat map in front of you. So front run high liquidity for a higher probability of getting filled. Even for your targets, front run your high liquidity. For your stops though, you can hide them behind high liquidity. Okay, for less probability of getting stopped out. So you have that data right in front of you. That's a big advantage. Another one, or several others here, are our proprietary add-on indicators we developed that look at very specific order flow phenomena. Okay, large lot tracker. So larger players in the order book that provide the majority of that liquidity. We want to know their activity. They're bullying the book. Imbalance indicators. For both the book and for volume. Iceberg tracker to understand, again, larger players, what they're doing with, they're hiding their orders. They don't want to be seen in the order book. Okay, therefore, we developed an algo where we can detect their behavior. And a correlation tracker, looking at different markets correlated and then plotted onto the same chart. Okay, of course, you get the advanced education and full support. All right, scroll down a little bit further. Let's go over a few resources here, and then we'll look at the live market. Okay, you might want to check out our blog. You can click on the link up here, and there's some featured posts here. Social media, okay, at bookmap _pro. That's our Twitter handle here. You'll find all sorts of data here about a Bookmap or other traders. For example, I retweeted something that I put together here. This was a trade that we went over in our advanced education yesterday. So you might want to take a look at that. You'll see all sorts of interviews here with a swing trader, for example, a futures trader here. I believe this swing trader is he's a stock trader. And then Futures Trader 71, most of you know who he is. All sorts of good stuff here, right? And our YouTube page, okay? This is where you're gonna get a free education as well. Bookmap intro videos for those of you who are new. Go over the features and components playlist here, some selected webinars, and then order flow video snippets. I think you'll find these very helpful. Okay, we go through the concise order flow concepts here. Okay, very short videos, but this is the order flow phenomena that Bookmap uncovers. This is the kind of content we go through in the advanced order flow webinars. Okay, so we just go through it in detail. but you want a quick kind of education of it and the advantage you're getting, then I would recommend watching these. Okay, let's jump into Bookmap and see what's going on here. Okay, we're looking at the NASDAQ E-mini. I just want to put it out there. How many stock traders are in the room here? We can take a look at some stocks as well. I just want to get a feel though for different stock traders in the room. So yeah, let me know, and then we can take a look at some. You can see what I have open here. What is it? Cherokee. This was a dollar stock. We have Exxon, Twitter, Facebook. Facebook is in the news, so we should see some interesting stuff there. Netflix, Amazon, Tesla, Apple. So pick your choice there if you like. Okay, and yeah, it doesn't look like we have. No, there's a couple stock traders in here. Well, let me know what you like, and we can take a look. Else, let's move on, and we'll just stick with NASDAQ E-mini here. All right, so here's the Bookmap chart. Here's what we're looking at. All sorts of different data here, but we're going to strip off some of the add-on indicators. Just want to show you that you can get a point of control indicator here, historical and current. We also have VWAP indicator and iceberg detector, but those are off as well. And then you can see the subchart here. Okay, this is a cumulative volume delta, CVD. Okay, I'm going to close that up as well. All right, so now we're looking at the simplistic chart here in Bookmap. This data it looks like there's a lot going on here. It's actually very simple and straightforward. 3 elements on this chart, and none of them are derivatives of time, price, or volume. We're just giving you a very complete view of what's going on or what happened in the market. Okay, let me explain. The first one is just best bid and offer. Okay, historical and current best bid and offer, and I'll show you the advantage of that in just a second. The next item is the volume dots that you see here. This is volume that transacted on the best bid and offer. This is the aggressor volume, the market buys and market sell orders. That's the second element. The third element is this heat map that you see here. This is the new element that most traders are unaccustomed to. All it is taking your depth of market, okay, your DOM, all those contracts where they're bidding and offering, we turn it into a heat map, and then we project it onto the chart historically, okay, and that's all you're looking at. Okay, so now we can start to understand though, if we zoom in here, we can look at the auction. Okay, look, we just came up into some high liquidity here, and they pulled, and now they're right back in. Okay, we can start to answer questions about this this auction here. Did they have the intent to trade or not? All right, very high liquidity up here. Okay, so 80 contracts up here at 82.25. Okay, they're on the bid down here at this area here. Okay, the majority of them. Okay, a little bit here at 76, but 74.25 is where the majority is. Okay, and we're bouncing in between high liquidity right now. Okay, we'll go over that in just a minute here, but we're going to start here with a candlestick chart, and I'm going to strip off those 3 elements that I just mentioned here, and I'm going to add them on one at a time, so you really understand what you're getting with Bookmap here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. And we'll look at volume bars in the subchart here, but that's about it. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. All right, this is a 5-minute candlestick chart. Okay, pretty straightforward. This is what we're accustomed to viewing all the time, is this 5-minute candlestick chart or some sort of periodicity of data. Okay, now that's the weakness though of this kind of data, is it's a period. Okay, it's all consolidated within this period. So all of this price action that you see within this candle, all we're getting from it is 4 data points: open, high, low, and close. Okay, and we're reading the order flow in the candlestick chart, really just kind of shooting from the hip here. Well, we don't really know. There's all sorts of questions here that we want to answer, and it's completely opaque to us. Okay, so number one is, where was all of this structure here? This is just a huge back and forth structure, right? And from the 9:30 open, just back and forth, and all sorts of things going on here. But we're in a big range, okay? We don't know though. For example, where did the volume trade? Precisely where did it trade? What type of volume? How much? Where is the majority of those transactions? Okay, we have no clue. With the heat map data, where were they bidding? Where were they offering? We don't know that either. Okay, and the first element I'm going to put on the chart here is very simple, but it really starts to break down the periodicity of candlesticks, or maybe you're looking at volume bars or tick data or even point and figure. It doesn't matter. It's still a period of data, okay? And it's all consolidated within those periods. So when we break it down and we look at just historical best bid and offer, now we can start to understand microstructural areas and how price is reacting within those little structural areas. Okay, so what do I mean by microstructure? Let's zoom in to a 5-minute period and I'll describe it here. Okay, so here we go. We got a few different, about 10 or 15 minutes of data here. In fact, let's just use the time slice tool and look at 15 minutes. There we go. So we're looking at 15 minutes of data here, and this is what I mean by microstructure. Okay, see how we, after this candlestick closed here, right up at this area here, okay, price broke down, right? And it kind of consolidated here for a little bit and it came back up. It came back up and tested where it broke down from. So here is an area of consolidation. Here's a breakdown. Here's a retest to where it broke down from. Okay, and we see that we continue to trend here in this microstructure. Okay, so you can see the trending environment here. Okay, back and forth, and then look down here though. You can see that we start to consolidate. We actually break this little microstructure here, and we make a new high. Okay, now we're starting to trend in the opposite direction. Okay, we come right back up to where we broke from up here. Okay, and we want to understand though, who's in control in these areas. Okay, so understanding the microstructure is what leads to the bigger moves. Okay, every time that's how it works. Okay, sometimes it just happens immediately, but you can still read it. All right, we'll see many different examples of that. Okay, but for example here, well, look at this big pin on this candlestick. Okay, well, what happened here? Well, we broke down below and it kind of rejected and came back up, and we started to trade back into this range here. Okay, and price accepted. And it accepted higher and higher again. Okay, now what we want to understand is who's in control in these areas by looking at the volume. So that's going to give us the reading the tape here and understanding the order flow, and you can see it really clearly here. Okay, the dots here, red dots, more red at lower lows. Okay, very typical in that structural trending, micro trending environment here. And this is really not very micro trending. We'd really go into the sub-second level if you want to see that. However, I'm just breaking down the candlestick and describing this to you here. Now, look what happened in the shift here in the tape. Okay, we see the breakdown here. We see buyers come right back up to where it broke from. And we go sideways and come back down again, but the buyers come right back in, and this is where they break the high. And they break it on more volume to the upside here. Okay? So we're starting to see kind of a reversal. Look at the retest back to where they initiated this move here. Okay? If you're a footprint trader or market delta type of trader, you're going to understand exactly what you're looking at here. Okay, the only thing is that you would be looking at this on a bar. Okay, well, this is really breaking it down and showing you exactly what occurred and how this occurs, because you're seeing more volume now at higher highs, more buy volume at higher highs. Okay, and then so this is where they supported that, or we found lack of sellers and buyers come in again. Okay, we're starting to see a reversal. Okay, you can start to understand now in terms of even patterns: shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, break, and then another break of another structure up here, okay? And then a retest back up into this area here, okay? So we're starting to understand now why some of these patterns exist due to the order flow. Okay, so that's just looking at the traded volume. Okay, now the traded volume, obviously, it's very important. We can see here, we can read it, and we can understand that you know, we're looking for a move back to test some of these highs up in these areas here. Okay, just by looking and reading the volume here. And that's what your footprint chart does for the most part. But like I said, you're going to read that in a bar, and it's kind of convoluted, rather difficult to note some of those areas in a bar. Whereas with the structure, now you have the complete detailed picture here. Okay, so now let's add on the final element on that Bookmap chart, and that's the heat map. Okay, where were they bidding? Where were they offering? Right, and let's zoom in back to this area here, and you can see all the details here. Look at the high liquidity in these areas here. Okay, what was their behavior? And think of this liquidity here as an auction. Okay, because that's truly what it is. They're bidding. They're pulling their liquidity. They at the last minute, these guys don't want to buy. Okay, they even pull here. It looks like the same player pulled at the same time because you can read it. Look how at the same moment, all three of these players, or you know, to me, it looks like one individual actor. You can even see the algorithmic activity. See how this area here pulled, and then they added back in. And you know, we're looking at 2 seconds between each vertical dotted line here. So we're reading second levels here, but we're reading some of the algorithmic activity. Okay? It's because we're recording it. It's very easy to read. Right? So you don't have to be down at the microsecond level to read this. And you can also, the next thing to read here is their intent to trade with their limit orders in that auction. So question here, did they intend to trade down here? Okay, and how many contracts do we have here? Well, we can use our data tip tool, and we can see 61 was on the bid here. Okay, and then they started to pull, okay, down to 48. Okay, down to 46 here, but then they transacted here. Okay, and if we zoom in here, we can see the transaction and then some, right? So 53 actually traded here. Okay, so the intent to trade, yes, they did. Okay, we see they obviously have the intent to trade here. Look at that high volume trading right into high liquidity. Okay, so now we're starting to understand larger players starting to get filled down here. Okay, that they're long, right? What are they doing? They're absorbing some of the buying pressure, selling pressure. I'm sorry, some of that selling pressure coming in, and now you can start to understand this auction here in context with the volume. Okay. All right. So that's the heat map here. Let me go over how this heat map is derived, and I'll just quickly go over one more thing here about those first two elements in the Bookmap chart. Here's your best offer, the red line. Here's your best bid. Okay, now we can zoom in here to sub-second levels, no problem at all, and see every single transaction, right? I just want to cover that, see this is for a volume of 3, and you get the timestamp, the date, what was on the ask, and then the volume. Okay, we see it's for a volume of 3. And this is the aggressor, market buy order. Okay, that's the green dot. Market sell order is the red dot. Okay, sometimes you'll see it as a pie chart here because so many transactions took place that we need to give you the overall delta and shape of that volume. And there it is. Okay, this is now for a volume of 7. Anyway, that's the way that we display the volume here. Very, very precisely displayed. All right, now let's take off the candlestick chart here. We don't really have a need for that. And let's zoom in here to the current market, and let me define how this heat map is, how this data comes in here. So what we're looking at like you understand or know that this is high liquidity down here. So this vertical white line separates historical to the left and current market to the right. Here's our current best bid and offer, okay, with the dashed lines. Okay, here's our last traded volume. This is our price ladder. And then the COB column, we're just gonna go over the COB column. It stands for current order book. This is your dome. Okay, these are contracts here on the limit orders on the sell side. Okay, at these very specific price levels on the price ladder. Okay, they want to be sellers. Okay, down here below current price, they want to be buyers. Okay, that's just the auction. That's just how it is. But we take this high liquidity and transform it into heat map in this window here. So you'll see when these numbers change, okay, and they're changing all the time, you can see here that it's reflected in this window. Okay, the interesting part though is we take the data and we record it and plot it on the chart. So these striations that you see in the heat map is the adding and pulling of liquidity. Okay, and what this allows us to do is start to understand the behavior in the auction. Okay, it's rather difficult to read that on your price ladder. But once it's recorded here, you can answer all sorts of questions. Not only at one area are they interested in buying, what about other areas around it? Are they front running? Are they adding, or are they pulling liquidity and adding it down below? Or did they transact? All of these questions we can answer, not only on the bid side, but on the offer. Okay, where are they on the offer? Well, here they are up here now at 69. They just pulled at 69.5 and lowered it. And now he pulled again. Okay, so looking for, let's see if we can get a test down into 63 now. Okay, looking for just a little more follow through to the downside here. Okay, there we almost there, a couple ticks away. Still looking for it, and actually looking for even further. Get down into maybe 60, 62, 61, these areas. Okay, just by reading the order flow here. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Okay. All right. That's gives you the complete picture here. Being able to understand that context on the in the auction with that the aggressor. Okay, so now we're starting to find a little bit of appetite here on the aggressor, but we're still in a downtrend. Okay? No question about it here. All right, so let's see if we maybe exhaust out on the buy side and they come in and maybe start to hit the bid again. Now, in this little area here, I'm not seeing the sellers right now, okay? And so, in fact, I'm seeing some buyers starting to step in here. But now they're starting to step in, okay? All right, so let's see them hit the bid here. Okay, there they go. And let's see if, we're starting to see a little bit back and forth though, but I'm still looking for them to hit the bid into 62, down to 60 here. It's starting to pick up a little bit. And they don't want to take these guys on yet. Now they're starting to pull here, so let's see if they can trade through this area down to 60. See how they're pulling? See how the move just unfolded there? Okay, so where are they going to trade to? They're looking for that high liquidity, and it's down lower because they're pulling here at 62. Okay, and here's our move. Okay, nice, pretty strong move here. It looks like the sellers are starting to take control in this this area here. Anyway, we're just reading the order flow here in very, very basic elements here, and we're looking at the current market, right? Down to 75.50, the figure down here, 168 contracts. Look at that. That's the highest in the book. Looks like they're engaged and ready to trade here. They're adding into the book as well. It went from 65 to 75, and it's a little bit back and forth right now. Anyway. You can see how you can start to read that auction and start to engage in that auction, okay? Looking at that context between the aggressor, buyers and sellers with their market orders versus those with the limit orders. And the beauty of this is we're reading this current market, but we can zoom out and we can look at the big picture. Here's what the auction looks like since well before 8:30 this morning. Okay, in fact, I have a lot more data here. Okay, here it is since before 7 a.m. Okay, so where were they bidding? Where were they offering? Well, here they are down at 75.50. They've been here just after the open here, and patiently waiting to get filled down in this area here. You can see them up here as well, around 75, 85, or 86 on the offer. Okay, larger players here. Okay, and that's just and we're channeling between those two areas here. Okay, on the bigger picture. Okay, but we can start to zoom into some of the other areas and start to look at the auction within this kind of back and forth environment, right? Because it is pretty choppy right now. Okay, well, you can see, look at these guys. These guys were in here much earlier before the open. Okay, we trade down to it. And then we bounce back up out of that area here. Look at them on the bid, wanting to be buyers, high liquidity here. We bounce away from that area too. We also see the buyers starting to take control here, looking for top of the ranges in some of these areas, and maybe even up to here to 86. We didn't get it, but it was looking pretty good that you could come up to 86 here. Okay, if those buyers still engage. Anyway, that's what we're looking at here in Bookmap. That's how we can read it on not only on the current and recent historical time frame like we just were, but also on the bigger picture. Okay, and that's how some of these swing traders and even position traders can start to use the Bookmap to their advantage. All right, well, let's wrap it up. Thanks for coming. If you're signed up for the or a subscriber to Bookmap, then we'll see you in the next webinar. Okay, all right, thanks. Bye-bye.